What is good, everybody? What is good? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. So, I appreciate you guys coming into the live stream today. And let me just do a little quick introduction of myself. So, my name is Jay. The YouTube channel is called Trippin with Jay, and we mainly focus on travel information, how to travel for cheap, how to travel on a budget. And we do IRL streams when I do happen to be on site and traveling. And we love to also give you additional information for you to be informed as a traveler when you do travel. And if that's your type of information, you love that type of content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification when I go. So you'll be notified when I go live, guys. Come on, man. Right? Okay. So let's get into the topic. So if you are watching this video, we are going to go over the top 5 tourist scams in Mexico and how to avoid them. So this is becoming an increasingly, unfortunately, prevalent problem in Mexico. And as you guys know, I have an affinity for the country of Mexico. I love traveling to Mexico. I do it very frequently. So it really hurts my heart to kind of do this video because I never like talking bad about a country that I love so dearly. However, we always have to address the issues or the problems of a particular country. And I have another planned video coming up as well that is very critical of the Tren Maya as well. That's going to be upcoming most likely next Saturday. So you guys will hopefully subscribe and hit the bell notification and be there next Saturday when I am very critical of the Tren Maya. And if you guys don't know what the Tren Maya is, it is the Mayan train that goes through, I think, 3 different Mexican states from what I can understand. But right now they don't have it fully built out, and I'll go over all the details next week. But let's go and dive into the topic at hand. So the top 5 tourist scams in Mexico and how to avoid them. So the first scam is something that I know probably a little bit I'm too familiar with it. So the first scam is the airport taxi ripoff. So essentially what it means is if you fly into Mexico, I think I'm going to use Cancun for an example moving forward when we have these tourist scams, because Cancun, Playa del Carmen, these are the really touristy cities, and this is where a lot of Americans and a lot of Canadians go, a lot of Europeans go to have proximity to the beach, have affordable meals and things like that. So I'll use those 2 cities as like a litmus test for the rest of the stream. So for instance, if you fly into Cancun, we all know that Uber can't pick you up from the airport, right? So Uber can't pick you up, and your only option, apparently, right, at least for my first timers that may not be experienced flying into Cancun and how to move around and make moves, their only option is taxis, bro. So when you fly into Cancun, you walk outside for the first time and you're expecting like pristine, like, I don't know, like what type of fantasy people kind of like think about when they travel to Cancun. But when you walk outside the airport, there's nothing but taxi drivers everywhere. They're like, oh, taxi, taxi, taxi. And as soon as you mention Uber, as soon as you mention anything else other than a taxi, they're like, oh, Uber's illegal. They can't pick you up here. And that is true, right? That is true. But if you do happen to take a taxi, they're and you tell them your destination, man, I'm so upset because I feel like a personal burn in my heart for this scam here. So you tell them your destination, right? You tell them your hotel or your Airbnb's address, and they give you a price. They're like, okay, $50, right? And that's reasonable, right? You got all your bags from the airport. If you check the bag, you have like one of those huge bags, and they take you door to door, right? There's no taking a bus where you have to walk with your luggage. They take you literally door to door, and they're like, okay, $50, fine. Okay, so When they pull up to the destination, they pull up to your Airbnb, they pull up to your hotel, right? All of a sudden, the taxi driver looks back at you and is like, "Hey, the fare is actually $150."
Bruh.
And I'm like, "What?" Before you we left the airport, it was $50, right? So this happens very, very frequently. So let me give you a couple of ways to kind of avoid that, especially for Cancun, Quintana Roo in particular, because Uber can't pick you up from the airport. And that is the truth for a lot of other cities within Mexico as well, which is a really weird rule. And I think they should honestly take another look at this rule, because if they really want to have their tourist their tourism just expand and grow, ease like reducing the difficulty of people getting from the airport to their Airbnb, to their hotel, that's going to be paramount for them to grow their tourism in the future. And if these taxi, you know, unions is what they call it, but I think they're low key just gangsters, right? They're gangsters at the end of the day. We have to give people more options as far as transportation from the airport. So let's look at some ways to avoid the taxi scam. So before you land, pre-book a shuttle. Okay, so if depending on where you're staying, if you're staying at like a prestigious hotel, or you're staying at a hotel that offers a shuttle service, take the shuttle. Do not wing it when you get to the airport or when you land at the airport. Pre-book it before you even land, before you lift off from your origin airport, bro. Like just pre-book it before you even go to the airport. Okay? So that's one way to avoid it. And the second way is try to get an official taxi. So what I mean by that is that some airports, Cancun in particular, if you get an official taxi, they'll have a written amount of money for the fare. So some unofficial taxis will verbally say a fare, and then when you get to your destination, that's when they hit you with the UAP. They're like, "Oh, hey, 150 instead of 50." Right? So get them to get it in writing and agree to that amount. Okay? So the other way that you can avoid it is just walk away, right? So if you feel like a certain way, like, hey, this person is not an official taxi person, or something feels kind of off, just walk away and go to an official an official taxi scam, an official taxi stand. Okay, and I can tell you guys a personal story. So my first time going to Cancun, maybe like 8, 9 years ago, I had no clue. I thought Uber was legal everywhere, bro. So what we did at the time, we landed in Cancun. We're like, yeah, we'll just book an Uber when we get there, right? I'm thinking like a normal person, like when they land at the airport, yeah, just book an Uber to the hotel, Airbnb, whatever. And we get to the airport, we land, and the taxi people are on us like crazy. And we're like, yeah, we're gonna just take an Uber. They're like, oh, Uber's illegal. You'll be arrested if you happen to take an Uber. And we're like, yeah, right, bro. Like, we're Americans, bro. This shit's legal, man. Come on. And then like the taxi driver actually pulled up an article on his phone, and it said Uber was illegal and people were getting arrested for taking Uber from the airport and getting pulled over by the police and getting arrested, trying to scare us, right? These scare tactics, right? And me at the time, I'm not knowing how to make moves in Cancun properly, and I'm like, you know what? Nah, we're not gonna take a taxi, bro. We're still taking our Uber. So the Uber's on the way. So even though it's illegal, for some reason the app is still operating in Mexico, right? So the Uber's on its way, and we try to like walk away from the taxi guy, and then he proceeds to chase us. They chase us like literally on the airport grounds, and we walk back into the terminal. They chase us into the freaking terminal.
Bruh.
And I'm like, yo, okay, all right, bro. If it's, we'll cancel the ride and we'll take the taxi fare from you. And that's when they actually wrote down the actual fare. on paper. So we agreed to that. It was like 20 bucks, which was cool. And I'm like, bro, you don't need to chase us in order to get your fare. I know you're trying to, like, we respect the hustle, but still, at the end of the day, you shouldn't be chasing tourists through the airport, especially on their first time to Cancun. So that's not the best way to really treat your tourist, right? Okay, personal stories. I got a ton of personal stories about being scammed in Mexico, which is why I made this live stream, man, because I got scammed quite a bit on my last trip to Playa del Carmen. And hopefully that's going to come up here. If not, I'll tell you guys the personal stories towards the end of the stream. So the second scam is the timeshare hustle. So in touristy spots like Puerto Vallarta or Los Cabos, smooth talking promoters offer free tours, meals, or activities. And if you attend a timeshare presentation, bro, so these high pressure sales pitches can last hours, and some travelers report being misled about costs or contracts. So a lot of people post on Twitter or X a lot of the times about these scams, or even on Reddit, right? So some people honestly promise a 90 minute talk, but those 90-minute talks end up being all day. Okay, so with that, they're very, very efficient and effective at this. So you really have to be on top of your game, and you have to understand that this is a hustle for them, and they have something to gain from this. So they're going to sell you as hard as they can. So they're going to put you under a lot of pressure to sign contracts, and this actually locks you into making payments for a property that you'll never use. And some scams even have fake resorts, bro.
Bomba.
Yeah, and you really don't want to get caught up in that. First of all, you just say no, thank you. That's how you avoid it on the surface, right? You say no gracias, right? The same exact print that's on the thumbnail for this video. So you say no, thank you, and that's honestly it. Say like, okay, let me give you a few. I was like, okay. So politely decline any freebies tied to a presentation. Just say that you're on a tight schedule and you just can't make it, right? And if you are honestly curious about timeshares, like research that stuff on your own. Don't rely on a salesperson that is incentivized to sell you a timeshare. So that's going to be your two best ways to do it. And the third best way to avoid it is to also check their reviews on websites like TripAdvisor, Expedia. Even sometimes they may be listed on Google, like Google reviews. And if they have like a 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, you already know what the game is. You already know what's up. So you may not want to participate with this at all. Like, don't poke the bear. Just say no thank you when it comes to timeshares, bro. Okay. So, this next one's good. This next one's really, really good. The next scam is I even heard locals getting scammed by this one. So it's the fake cop shakedown. And this is not particularly focused on tourist areas. This honestly happens in Merida. This happens in Mexico City for sure. In Mexico City, Playa del Carmen, Cancun, it happens everywhere within Mexico, and it's very prevalent because the police officers in Mexico aren't paid a lot of money. Okay, so what they'll do, they'll have someone posing as a police officer, or even real ones just abusing power, right? They stop you in a busy area, claim that you've just broken like a minor law, right? Like jaywalking or littering or something like that. And then they'll demand an on-the-spot fine in cash to avoid going to jail. And this happens all of the time. And these people can be dressed like police officers. They can honestly have dogs that look like police dogs. And they can be very, very intimidating because you're in a foreign country and you just don't know what the hustle is or know what the deal is. And you can be intimidated into paying like hundreds of dollars for vague violations. And typically, like, the reason why this is a problem is because fear makes you comply, right? and we all know this. We've all been under pressure to, oh, if you don't pay this fine, you're going to be arrested, even in our home country, right? So, real cops in Mexico don't settle fines on the street, and that's one way to avoid it. If they trying to get you to pay while you're on the street, that's probably not a real cop. Okay, so here are some steps to avoid this scam. Stay calm and ask for their ID or badge number. Hopefully, you speak a little bit of Spanish so you can kind of communicate that with them, because some officers do speak sorry, some officers do speak English, but not all of them. So real officers won't mind giving you their ID or badge number. So that's the number one red flag. So if they don't want to give you their ID or badge number, that should raise some red flags. Okay, they may not be a real cop. Okay. So the second way to avoid this is insist on paying the fine at the police station. Because I promise you, a fake cop is like, nah, bro, we're not going to the police station. We're handling this right on the street. And not to give them any cash on the spot. And then the third way, simply just call 911 or the local tourist police if it feels sketchy. Simple, right? But that's because we're not under the pressure of being in front of a police officer, right? So this is just something that you want to keep in the back of your mind. If you ever get caught up in a situation like this, make sure you ask for the badge number. If they insist on you paying a fine for breaking the law, pay it at the police station. Simple, right? Any proper police officer will be like, you know what? That's okay. Yeah, let's go to the police station. Pay this damn fine. If they're a fake cop, they're like, nah, bro, we ain't going to the police station. We paying right here. And that's when you used to say, nah, I'm good, bro. Have a good day. All right. So the next one, it kind of happened to me. Well, actually, yeah, it did happen to me. It's the street vendor overcharge. This is super, super prevalent in tourist areas. Okay, so what's the scam? At markets or beachfronts in places like Tijuana or Cozumel, vendors do sell souvenirs, food, which how I got scammed on this one, or drinks at inflated prices to tourists who don't know any better. So some quote in dollars to confuse you or add hidden fees. That's what happened to me, bro. Crazy. So they'll charge you $20 for some souvenirs that cost like $2, bro. Which is an insane markup, right? And before we get to the how to avoid it, yeah, let me tell my story, bro. It's crazy. So I'm in Playa del Carmen. It's like 1 a.m, and I'm just getting over like a sickness, okay? And I'm hungry, and I'm like, yo, my Airbnb is in an area where all the restaurants are in Playa del Carmen, and everything is closed. It's 1 a.m, and I'm looking for like a taco spot, a pizza spot. I saw a pizza spot. It was like 30 pesos for a slice of pizza. And I looked at the pizza, and I was like, nah, bro, nah, nope.
Bomba card.
That pizza did not look fresh. And I was like, 30 pesos is not worth it to risk my health, bro. That's $1.50 for my Americans out there. So I walk past that spot, right? I keep walking. I find a taco spot that's still open. Thank the Lord, it's still open. So I walk into this taco spot, and the guy greets me in Spanish, and then he speaks in English. I'm like, bro, he's very fluent in English, and that's very common for tourist areas like a Playa del Carmen or Cancun. So I'm like, cool, I can speak in English. I've been speaking Spanish this whole time. My brain is kind of tired from speaking Spanish this whole time. And he's like, okay, what do you want? So I get chicken nachos and a Jamaica, right? I'm not drinking alcohol because my stomach's messed up. So I get the check, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's like $10, $11. Cool, not bad. I tap my card on the little payment terminal, right? And he's like, what do you want as a tip or propina? And I'm like, okay, the typical is 10%. I'm like, all right, 10%. And He's like, okay. He taps the little thing on the terminal, and the receipt prints out because it's approved or whatever. He gives me the receipt, and oh no, he takes the receipt that comes out. He was like, "Do you want a receipt?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I want a receipt. I want to know every single penny I spend in this country." And he's like, "Fuck." Like I saw him like have a look of disgust. He was like, "Damn." And he reprints the receipt, gives it to me. I'm looking at it. I'm stone cold sober. I'm not one of these drunk people out here, right? So I look at the receipt and I'm like, okay, 300 pesos. The total was not an extra 10% for tip. The tip was damn near 25 to 30%, bro. And I called him over. I'm like, bro, this is not 10%. I told you 10% for the tip, for the propina. He was like, oh, I thought you said 30%.
Stop the cap.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling well right now. I've already been scammed already before coming here, which is why I'm making this live stream. And you probably need this way more than I do. And I'm a very generous person. I could be very upset right now. I could literally physically destroy you if I wanted to. But I had restraint enough to say, okay, it's okay. Keep the money. It's only like $4. This is fine. You need it more than I do. However, the fact that you have to steal from people in order to get a bigger tip is it's absolutely not a great thing to do to tourists. Because I'm not even a tourist, bro. I have a freaking residency in your country. He doesn't know that. But to do this to people is so messed up, bro. So this happened to me. That's my story about the vendor food type situation. And the reason why I stress that so much, the reason why I'm making this stream, bro, is that so you guys don't have to go through this. The way that I could have avoided that situation is that the guy gives me the terminal. Like, let me hold the terminal, let me select the actual tip amount, and let me get the receipt. That's the way that you avoid this, okay? So let's continue. How do you avoid this? How do you avoid this scam? Learn basic Spanish numbers to negotiate. So, for example, 10 pesos, 10 pesos. If they try to negotiate in dollars, it's an L. Just leave. They're trying to scam you. Compare prices at multiple stands before buying. This is a tactic that you can use worldwide. You can use worldwide, right? So you can use this tactic here. You can say, hey, like the people over there are charging me 5 pesos. They're like, 5? All right, I can do 5. That's fine, because people want to get that sale. They want to sell you something. So they're gonna take that and like, what the hell? 5 pesos. This dude's not about to get my sale. I'm about to take 5 pesos for this. So do that. Compare prices. That's always something you can always use, and haggle. You can use this worldwide. So the third and most important way to avoid a scam like this is to use pesos, not dollars, right? To avoid bad exchange rates, because they will get your ass on exchange rates in Mexico, especially in tourist areas. Even ATMs, bro. Even ATMs do that shit. So another way to do it is also get smaller bills from a bank ATM. And this is where I messed up as well. I typed in a big amount in the ATM because I wanted to just do one transaction. And what happens is when you do this, the ATM gives you the 500 peso note, right? The 500 peso bill. And I'm like, dude, why? Why do they do this? They know that they know that people don't like these bigger bills, especially when you give cash to vendors. They're like, 500 pesos? What the hell? I don't got change for this. And you can't even spend it. So what you have to do when you go to ATMs like this, you may have to do multiple transactions, which kind of sucks. But if you want smaller bills from the ATM, you may have to just input smaller amounts to withdraw from the ATM. Maybe like 100 pesos, 200 pesos at a time, which is crazy. But if you Want to avoid this type of thing here, you got to get small bills, bro. Let's see. We can move on to the next one, man. The next one is, damn, this is the biggest one, in my opinion, because we're actually going to show data. We're actually going to show a chart with the frequency of each of these scams and how much they occur in Mexico. Okay, but this one is the lowest on the list, but it's the biggest one and most important one to me personally. This next one, the final one, it's the ATM skimmer trap. And this happened to me in Peru. And I'll tell you guys a story after I explain it. So people, and this happens in the U.S. as well. This is the U.S. isn't impervious to this type of stuff. Okay, so people will install skimming devices on ATMs, on the Ingenico terminals at like a gas station or a 7-Eleven or an OXXO, right? And they'll do this in touristy areas like Cancun or Oaxaca. And that steals your credit card information when you withdraw cash. So some offer to help you at the ATM watching what you type in for your PIN. So this is very, very prevalent in Latin America, in the US, damn near Earth. Damn near Earth at this point. Because it's so easy and it's a victimless crime, quote unquote, because you can always go to your bank and say, hey, these people stole my money, and the bank will give you the money back, right? So you get your money back and the crook still gets your money, which I find it crazy. I don't like people that steal, man. That is my number one pet peeve, is people that steal. I will literally fight you physically if you steal from me. But what happened to me in Peru, and then we'll get to the ways to avoid it, okay? So what happened to me in Peru, I needed some souls. And I went to an official bank. This is what makes it crazier. I went to an official bank with an armed guard on the outside. I walk in, put in my Charles Schwab debit card, and this is why I tell you guys to always get that Charles Schwab debit card and use that abroad to withdraw cash. Never use your real debit card abroad ever. Use a credit card and use a Charles Schwab to get cash. Never use your real debit card abroad. So I put in my card. It must have been a skimming device on that ATM. And I'm like, yo, this is an official bank. They got an armed guard outside. There's no way that somebody installed a skimming device on this ATM. There's no way. So I put my card in. I get the soles out. I get the money out. And the next day, I get an alert on my phone from Charles Schwab. Hey, your card is being used for a sports store in Spain. I'm like, oh, really? How would I get to Peru to Spain in less than 12 hours? Like,
Bruh.
and that's why the alert came on my phone. And I was like, yo, what? What is this? I'm like, okay, you guys can take my $5 that's left in the account, because I keep almost no money in that account. And that's the reason why I love using the Charles Schwab card abroad, is because I don't keep a lot of money in it. And if they steal the information from like a skimmer or ATM, or when I swipe my card, they're not getting much money, bro. But we got Charles in the building. Charles. Cool. I appreciate you, bro, because I'm testing a new chat box here at the bottom right. I think, nope, bottom left. I'm testing a new chat box here on the left, and you just tested it out for me, bro, and I really do appreciate that, man. Charles says, great afternoon, all on the live stream broadcast. Me, Jay, the CEO, host, acknowledgement. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for that, man. So I'm so glad this chat box works. I'm actually going to get rid of this one. Live on stream. And cool. All right, we're good, man. Appreciate you coming into this live stream, Charles. And I hopefully you can use some of these tips, man, because I know when people travel, people get scammed all across Earth, bro, not just in Mexico. And you can apply this worldwide, honestly. So the reason, well, with the ATM skimmer stuff, I'll tell you guys just from personal experience, when you see like standalone ATMs, especially in Playa del Carmen, for sure, when you see these standalone ATMs, that say they give you US dollars, because a lot of tourist areas will accept US dollars, do not use those ATMs. Even if you have a gun pointed to your head. I'm not, that's just a joke, right? But I'm just saying, even if it's your last resort, don't use those ATMs. Look for an official bank, BBVA, um, Banamex, or an official bank in Mexico. Look for those ATMs that will give you pesos. Using the US dollar in Mexico is absolutely a dumb thing to do. Do not use the US dollar at all when you are in Mexico. The only other country that I could see you using the US dollar in is Panama, because they accept that that's their official currency. But when you're in Mexico, use their local currency. Do not use the US dollar. And if you see a standalone ATM that says, hey, we'll give you US dollars, don't use it, bro. Do not use it. Don't use it, bro. I'm telling you, you will not only pay additional fees for the ATM, because the ATMs are owned by individuals or companies. They're not owned by banks. So they're going to hit you on the exchange rate. They're going to hit you on the ATM fees. And sometimes the shit just doesn't work, bro. They'll take your card and not give you any money. I've heard of that shit happening too. So be very careful using your ATM or your debit card abroad, especially when you withdraw cash. I prefer not to use my real debit card when I'm abroad because of situations like this ATM skimmer trap here. So just be very, very careful when you use your ATM, especially when you're entering your PIN, because that's how people can steal your stuff. And just be very aware of your surroundings as well. So let me tell you how to avoid this stuff. So, like I said before, use ATMs inside banks. And you guys see, it may not always work. I use an official bank in Peru or reputable hotels, not standalone ones on the street. And this is a good one too. Check the card reader for loose or bulky attachments. And you gotta grab it. I can't believe I'm doing this on stream. You gotta grab it and you gotta wiggle it. You gotta grab it, and you gotta wiggle it. So that little like illuminated part is typically green on an ATM. You just take it, you just grab it, and you just wiggle it. And if it stays stuck, you're good to go, most likely. But if that shit comes off, bro, you'll be like, yo, that's crazy. I've never seen like one of these skimmers in real life before, because I typically just do tap to pay for everything. And that's another way to get around it. A lot of ATMs do have the tap to pay feature, or tap to access your account, where you can just tap your card and don't have to insert it. I would use that as well. That's an option. You can, let's see. Yeah, and also another way to avoid it is just to cover your PIN when you're entering it, and make sure no one's around. Which is crazy, bro. Why do people got to steal, man? Why can't people just work for their money, get a job, get a hustle, contribute to society, instead of extracting from it and being a nuisance, which is freaking ridiculous, man. Okay, so I think I'm going to start a poll for the few people that are in here, man. How do I start a poll, bro? Let me see. I think it's in the chat. 1 second. I'm going to start a poll. Y'all let me know if you've ever been scammed before abroad. Have you ever been scammed abroad? All right, we just put a poll in the chat. Y'all let me know if you ever been scammed abroad. And we're going to take a look at the data real quick. This chart shows the top 5 tourist scams in Mexico. So it says here, taxi ripoffs are the highest amount in frequency. So it's at 35%. And I think I have to move over a little bit for you guys to see the last one. The timeshare scam is at 25% of the time. The fake police shakedown is at 20% of the time. The street vendor overcharge is 15% of the time. And then ATM skimming is at 5%. So out of these 5 here, I've been ripped off 1, 2, 3 3 out of the 5 I've been ripped off in Mexico before. So that's 60%. 60%. Family was scammed in India. What?
Bombocad!
Alex, tell us the story, bro. Type in the chat, bro. What was the story behind that, man? That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. And then, guys, on your way in, make sure you hit the like button as well. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I may be one of the few YouTubers that'll be able to give you guys this information live. And I know a lot of other YouTubers will be able to do like an official video, but I love interacting with you guys and doing this live and giving you guys advice straight off the top of the head. So a lot of YouTubers can't do that, bro. It's crazy. But yeah, let me know, man. This is crazy. That is insane, man. Your family got scammed in India. Crazy, bro. I'm sorry that happened to you, man. But that's insane. So we got 50-50 in New Delhi. Bro, I love traveling, and I love Indian people. Indian people are some of the at least the ones I've met are some of the most gracious and nice people ever. But you will not catch my ass traveling in India, bro, at all. I know it's a beautiful country, but I just don't have an affinity for or want to travel to India for various personal reasons. Yeah, Charles. Alex. Where was it? That's what Charles is asking. Where was it? I don't know if Alex is still in the chat. What else did I have to talk about? I honestly think that was it, bro. Damn, guys, Mexico had 45 million tourists in 2024. Imagine 45 million people have the pleasure of being scammed. That's why each and every person should inform themselves before they travel somewhere on scams like this. But these scams are not specific to Mexico, in my opinion. I believe this can happen anywhere, bro. This can happen anywhere. So you can use these tips worldwide. You must not let your guard down anywhere. Be very careful and alert, my humble opinion. Charles, that's absolute facts, bro. Absolute facts. It's insane that people will go on vacation to a place like Playa del Carmen and let their guard down. What? Your guard should be at an all-time high after watching this stream, man. Do y'all know how many people get scammed in Mexico every single year? I'm curious, man. Let me ask Google. How many people get scammed in Mexico per year? Oh, I should put tourist, not people. How many tourists get scammed? God, dog. Okay, let me see. While it's difficult to pinpoint the exact number, man, let me ask Grok, bro. Gemini is acting up right now. Let's see. God, dog, that's a lot of people that visit Mexico, bro. Holy. Yeah, there's no exact number, but every year, if 45 million people are traveling to Mexico, oh no. It says that Mexico welcomed 45 million international travelers in 2019 and over 75 million in 2023. So, bro, out of 75 million tourists, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's literally almost a third of the population in the U.S. visited Mexico. And You got to imagine the percentage of people that actually get scammed is probably in the 5 or 10% range. I would say let me just 5%. Let's just go with 5%, bro. So we're looking at about 3 million people that get scammed in Mexico every single year. And that's a low number. That's on the low side. So guys, stay informed. Be able to counteract these scams. If you run into a police officer, somebody trying to overcharge you, a taxi scammer, somebody that wants to do a timeshare presentation, just say no. No, gracias. Simple. You run into a fake cop, get their ID number. Let's go to the police station and pay this fine. Taxi. Okay. Let me get an official taxi. Or I already have something pre-booked. Right? In Mexico, you have the option to take the audio bus. Take the bus. Like, hey, I'm taking a camione. ATM scams. Grab it and wiggle it. Or use tap to pay. Do your best. Do your absolute best not to get scammed when you're abroad, bro. Because that can ruin your whole damn trip that you spent your hard money on. You were on this stupid flight connecting somewhere in BF Egypt, like in Egypt somewhere, crazy places. You're connecting somewhere just to get to one place. You're spending your hard-earned money. Then you got to deal with taking a taxi that just scammed you. And then you get there, you go to a restaurant, they overcharge you for food or for freaking souvenirs. And then you go to the ATM to get cash, you get scammed at the ATM, and then you run into somebody that's doing a timeshare. You're like, ooh, timeshare. Let me go and see what this is all about, right? You go to the timeshare, you sign something, and then you're stuck in a contract for years making monthly payments. And then you jaywalk, and then a fake cop tries to scam you on the street to pay a fine. Bro, I would literally explode, bro. If all 5 of those happen in one trip, I would literally explode. But I gave you guys ways to avoid all of that, so you can have a much better trip when you travel. And it doesn't have to just be in Mexico. It could be Peru, Colombia, because this stuff happens everywhere. This happens worldwide. And people do not have their eyes open to this. They don't understand that people in these countries that are struggling, they're looking for every which way till Sunday to scam people that are tourists, because there's just so many tourists. They can turn and burn people damn near into perpetuity, because they get 75 million tourists plus every single year. They're like, next year there'll be more of you to scam. And it'll be an entirely different person that I can just scam and get more money. Because I get it on like the scammer's end. If you're in a situation where you have to make money and you're not making enough at your regular job, I get it. I get it. That may be the way that you and your family have to eat. But bro, when it happens to you, when you get scammed, that shit doesn't feel right, man. It doesn't feel right. And people shouldn't do that. Moral people shouldn't steal from other people. Okay? But that's not how the world works. That's not how reality works. We have to deal with reality. And I gave you guys step by step all these tips on how to deal with the reality of scams in Mexico in particular. But again, you can use this worldwide to not get scammed. Any last minute questions, any last minute comments, guys? I definitely tried to be as thorough as possible and tried to express how important this information is. And I understand that information like this does not get views on YouTube, because I don't have girls shaking their butts in my videos or showing chicas all the time. And I get it. I'm sacrificing the views to bring you guys usable information that you can watch years from now and still extract value from. So if that means that I don't get a lot of views on this video, totally fine. But if it helps one person, that's enough for me to do another live stream to help you guys out. I don't care, bro. Because people need to know about this to not get scammed. And hopefully this somehow stops scamming or reduces it, because the more knowledge you have about these scams, the less of a probability that the scammers will be successful in scamming you. So maybe they'll stop. They'll get a real damn job. That's just me hopeful thinking, man. But we're heading out of here, man. We're heading towards the tail end of the stream. I will do. Oh, Alex, let's go. Okay. Alex says, I don't know the full story, but my brother-in-law is from Bangalore. Oh boy, Bangalore, and a place he thought was told he could trust wasn't that trustworthy. Oh, that sucks, man. That sucks to get like the cosign, the green light from somebody that you know, and going there and still getting scammed. That is crazy, bro.
Bomba.
Authentic, factual information the traveling public needs to know. Hey, man, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it on social media. If you did extract some type of value from this live stream, people need to know. I don't like getting scammed. It sucks getting scammed because you're out of money. You can always get the money back, but it's just the hassle and the time you have to spend calling the bank, filing a claim, filing a police report in order to get that stuff back. But I appreciate you guys coming into the live stream. And this is going to be it for today. And my name is Jay. You've been tripping with Jay. And I love doing this, man. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see y'all on Tuesday. But I may do like a test stream later on today. I'm reworking literally everything about the YouTube channel, doing new merch. I'm doing everything. I'm revamping everything today. So you guys may see a stream pop up. That's like a test stream that I'm going to delete later. But yeah, that's besides the point. But I appreciate you guys coming into the stream. And have a great rest of your Saturday. And that's it, man. We are out.